To some, Sakamoto is an ugly, disgusting loser. But to most, Sakamoto is the most popular and handsome guy at school. He does everything in a cool way: school tasks, lunch, and even punishments, making all the girls go crazy about him. However, there are a bunch of troublemakers upset and jealous about Sakamoto. Atsushi, Mario, and Kenken complain about how Sakamoto acts too cool, and all the girls like him. They end up joking about how handsome they are, despite being 30-year-olds who got hit with a pan in the face. They create a plan to try to shame Sakamoto by putting a dirty chalkboard eraser above the door. But when Sakamoto walks in, he catches it like a boss. He says hi to everyone, making all the girls crazy and leaving Atsushi and his friends embarrassed. Next, Sakamoto goes to the bathroom, and the three delinquents follow. They throw water into his stall, thinking they got him wet. But Sakamoto, the king of all chads, is prepared. He comes out with an umbrella, shocking the idiots. They then throw Sakamoto's desk out of the window, hoping he can't sit in class. All the girls go crazy and invite him to sit with them. Sakamoto refuses, opens the window, and sits on the windowsill, making the girls go crazy. Sakamoto tells the teacher to start class, and Atsushi and Mario are frustrated because their plan doesn't work. The pan faces then decide there's only one option: to beat Sakamoto up. Sakamoto is cleaning a desk when a guy comes and tells him that their teacher is asking for his help in the lab to prepare for tomorrow's class. Once Sakamoto reaches the lab, the three smashed-faced delinquents surprise Sakamoto and tie him up. They start talking about hurting him, like using chemicals or making him look silly by sending photos to all the girls. Atsushi even likes the embarrassing photo idea and starts taking pictures. But the guys enjoy destroying their lungs inside the room, and it causes a fire. They can't put it out and they try to leave, but the door was blocked by a fallen broom. Atsushi tries to call for help, but his phone dies. Everyone gets scared, but Sakamoto is there doing some sidestepping moves. Mario thinks he's trying to create a breeze to put out the fire. The three guys copy Sakamoto to help put out the fire. However, the noise reaches the staff room below. A teacher named Kakuta comes up and sees them jumping around the fire. He gets confused but first uses a fire extinguisher to put out the fire. He then asks Sakamoto what kind of voodoo they are doing. Sakamoto explains they were stuck in the lab and the fire accidentally started, so he decided to make noise to get a teacher's attention. Kakuta asks why they were there, but Sakamoto lies, saying he was teaching them how to use an alcohol lamp. The teacher praises him for being a good friend but asks him to write an apology note. The delinquents are super impressed and decide to accept defeat. Even Mario and Kenken say that Sakamoto stole Atsushi's heart. Atsushi doesn't argue and just admits Sakamoto is cool, and the others agree. The next day, Sakamoto is walking to school with his umbrella alongside a bird. The strong winds make it a bit of a contest between him and the bird to see who can stay ahead. Because of the wild winds, things start flying around. Sakamoto effortlessly dodges an object heading his way, but the bird gets tossed toward a vortex. Sakamoto rushes to the rescue, almost slipping into a river but lands on a rock instead. He then uses his umbrella to fly up and save the bird. And just like that, when he secures the bird, the rain suddenly stops, and the bird flies away. He manages to arrive at school in time and notices a guy named Sira boasting to the girls. He says that he's an amateur model for magazines and offers to give the girls lessons about fashion for a week. The girls politely refuse his offer. Suddenly, a girl bursts into the room screaming about the newspaper. Turns out there's a story about the storm, and Sakamoto is on the cover, looking like he's flying while rescuing the bird. This sends his female classmates into a frenzy. Seeing this, Sira gets super angry because Sakamoto always steals the spotlight, and decides to put an end to it. Throughout the day, Sira tries various tricks to outshine Sakamoto. In class, he attempts to remove Sakamoto's chair just as he's about to sit after answering a question. But Sakamoto sits on an imaginary chair. During sports, Sira repeatedly fails to hit Sakamoto with a ball. He then tries to make Sakamoto use a broken water fountain, but it backfires. This only makes Sakamoto look even cooler as the water showers over him. Back in the classroom, Sira is pondering how every attempt to outshine Sakamoto only makes him look more fantastic. He's brainstorming his next move when a huge bee flies in, causing the girls to freak out. Sira sees this as his chance to shine. The girls run outside and lock all the boys inside the class. The boys start to take off their clothes to deal with a bee in the classroom, following the teacher's advice. However, Sakamoto remains calm. When the bee lands on Sakamoto's hair, Sira attempts to swat it, but Sakamoto's quick move redirects the bee to focus on Sira. Sakamoto uses a compass to battle against the bee. It's a tough battle, but Sakamoto uses the compass as chopsticks to catch the bee and release it outside. Sakamoto's unexpected bee handling skills amaze everyone, leaving Sira embarrassed. The next day, Sakamoto climbs a tree to give food to a bird and say hi, but the bird is nowhere to be found. Sakamoto then sees Kubota giving money to some mean bullies. Sakamoto walks up to Kubota and asks what's going on. Kubota says it's none of Sakamoto's business and admits he's paying the bullies to stay safe because he's scared of them. Sakamoto feels bad for Kubota and leaves. Kubota gets mad, saying Sakamoto only came to talk, not to help. Sakamoto says Kubota's money will still help him, but Kubota breaks down. He confesses he's been lying to his mom about needing money for stuff and giving it all to the bullies. Sakamoto comes back and says he has an idea to help. Yes, to get a job at a fast food place to make money. Matsuyama shows up at the fast food place. She's in charge of training the new losers and puts Sakamoto at the cash register because he's good looking. Kubota must clean and whines about it, saying he never wanted to work. He thinks of more excuses to get money from his mom and plans to quit the job. But Matsuyama tells him to work faster, and he grumbles, wondering why he must work to pay off the bullies. Suddenly, the kitchen gets busy, and Kubota peeks outside to see a long line of ladies waiting to buy food. Matsuyama tells Kubota to continue being a loser and start making fries. Kubota claims he doesn't know how, but Matsuyama insists he tries. At first, he messes up, but then he gets the hang of it. When all the orders are done, Matsuyama thinks maybe Sakamoto brought in all the customers. She also praises Kubota for his awesome fry-making skills, making him blush. This makes Kubota more excited to learn how to make other meals, and the boys secure their permanent jobs, making it to payday. Kubota tells Sakamoto he's going to the hair salon with his money, and Sakamoto plans to buy a protractor. The next day, the 30-year-old high school loser students visit the restaurant. Atsushi orders food and then cringely asks Sakamoto for a smile for takeout. Soon after, the bullies who bother Kubota show up. Kubota tries to hide, but they spot him and start making fun of him. Sakamoto steps in, asking about their orders. After ordering, one of the bullies tells Kubota to meet them at a park. So, after work, Sakamoto decides to follow Kubota. Kubota meets the bullies who demand money. Kubota is about to give them his paycheck when he remembers what Sakamoto said about money not always protecting him. Kubota refuses, saying he worked hard for that money. This makes the bullies mad, and they start beating him up. But Kubota holds onto his money, determined to protect it. Suddenly, Sakamoto jumps in to help. First, he uses the wind with no direction technique, blowing into a bully's ear with a straw, causing him to act like a freak. Then he sprays gum syrup into the other bully's eyes. Sakamoto tells Kubota to do something, and bravely, Kubota uses his move caught between buns to hit the bullies. He then grabs some sand and throws it at them, making the bullies run away scared. Kubota tears down and thanks Sakamoto for teaching him to stand up for himself. But Sakamoto ignores him and leaves because he must return to his shift. The next day, Sakamoto deals with Aina, who's trying to get his attention. Aina usually gets attention from boys and jealousy from some of the girls. But Sakamoto couldn't care less about her and focused on the teacher. This upsets Aina because, despite all her charm, Sakamoto is a pure Sigma. Aina wants him to notice her. First, she tries to get close to him and asks for help with studying by sitting close to him. But she can't get close to him, so she sits in front of him instead. She tries being familiar with him and asks for his full name. But Tanaka, one of the girls that doesn't like her, scratches the board, and Aina couldn't hear him. She then tries to copy Sakamoto's moves to be friends, but he's too quick for her. Without options, Aina tries to make him jealous. Aina walks away saying she will go meet other guys. Suddenly, Sakamoto stands up. Aina thinks she succeeded and he's about to stop her, but Sakamoto is looking at a dog on the track field. Upset by failed attempts to get Sakamoto's attention, Aina decides to play the Kakuri-san game similar to an Ouija board. Tanaka and Yagi join to annoy Aina. Sakamoto offers to watch but not play, upsetting Aina further. During the game, the girls ask humorous questions about Aina's intentions, but she skillfully manipulates the coin in her favor. During Aina's turn in the game, she asks who Sakamoto likes. All three girls try to move the coin to spell their names, but they accidentally toss the game coin into the air, and it lands on the floor. The game has a rule that curses them if they let go of the coin. Aina turns to Sakamoto for help, but the coin falls in front of him, and suddenly, he's possessed by the spirit of Kakuri-san. Sakamoto starts acting like a freak, and Aina asks the spirit to leave. The spirit says it will only go if the girls build a 6-feet-tall sacred arch within 20 minutes, or else it'll take Sakamoto's body to the mountains. The girls rush to build the arch with tables before time runs out, and they ask Aina to help. She says no, claiming she's never lifted anything heavier than a chair. Yagi scolds her, saying refusing means she's okay with Sakamoto being taken by the Kakuri spirit. Tanaka and Yagi stack the tables. One almost falls on Yagi, but Aina saves her, saying she's only helping for Sakamoto's sake. Together, the girls finish stacking the tables to make the arch. Later, the spirit uses the tables to go to the summit. Suddenly, Sakamoto wakes up, confused about how he ended up there. Aina is grateful he's okay, and Yagi and Tanaka realize Aina isn't as bad as they thought. They all walk home together, but then Sakamoto reveals that everything was his plan to help the girls become friends. He uses his secret move, Reset Position, to put everything back in order. Some days later, we find out that Sakamoto became the errand boy of the second-year bullies. Maruyama explains to Hayabusa, the group leader, how Sakamoto is amazing. Sakamoto hears Maruyama's whistle call and launches himself into the classroom with a broom, serving lunches in a cool way that wows the seniors. After that, Sakamoto meets Kubota, who wonders why he's doing errands for Maruyama. Sakamoto says it's supposed to build his character. Kubota tells Sakamoto they're taking advantage of him, treating him like a tool. Yet, Sakamoto believes in respecting his elders, even if it's just a 1-year difference. Kubota doesn't fully agree, but Maruyama's whistle interrupts them, calling Sakamoto. When Sakamoto gets to Maruyama, he asks for a drink. Sakamoto stylishly goes to the vending machine and gets Maruyama's favorite drink. The other seniors want one too, and Sakamoto happily gets it for them. So, Maruyama keeps asking Sakamoto for more stuff. First, he wants to borrow Sakamoto's gym uniform because he forgot his own. But, instead, Sakamoto makes him a brand new one, making Maruyama the star on the field. Maruyama asks for more favors: shoe polishing, class attending, massages, beard shaving, and nail cutting. But Hayabusa starts saying he's getting lazy and too dependent on Sakamoto. But Maruyama defends himself, saying it's all part of helping Sakamoto grow up. Later, Maruyama calls Sakamoto again, but this time he's not sure what tasks to give. Maruyama suggests Sakamoto should come up with ways to make his life easier. Sakamoto takes it seriously, providing unexpected assistance such as bringing toilet paper and warming Maruyama's shoes. However, when Sakamoto attempts to help him further by offering to carry him home on a trolley, Maruyama feels overwhelmed and hides, thinking Sakamoto has gone crazy. He hides and calls Hayabusa for help, but Sakamoto finds him. Maruyama gets scared and screams that he doesn't want this much attention. But Sakamoto used his secret move, Sleepover Gym, to make the storage room a comfy place for Maruyama to sleep that night. He offers more services for a better rest, and Maruyama starts begging Sakamoto to stop. Later at the school cafeteria, Maruyama shocks everyone by buying his food. The first-year students who used to run errands for him can't believe their eyes. Meanwhile, Sakamoto is at another table, having lunch with Kubota. Kubota asks how the errands are going, and Sakamoto says he got fired, thinking it's because he's a terrible singer. After class, Sakamoto goes to Kubota's house to help him with a school assignment. Kubota's mother, Shijimi, kindly brings them food and asks if Sakamoto is there. Before she enters, Kubota tells Sakamoto to hide under the bed. When she comes in, she doesn't see Sakamoto and leaves, scolding Kubota to invite Sakamoto over again. Kubota explains that his mother fell in love with Sakamoto 2 weeks ago. Where have we seen this kind of story? Sakamoto had gotten excellent grades in exams, but Kubota failed his. So, Kubota asks Sakamoto to help him with his studies, and Sakamoto agrees. Kubota takes Sakamoto to his house, and when Shijimi sees Sakamoto, she falls for him and starts pursuing him. So, they decide Sakamoto must hide whenever she comes around. Back in the present, Sakamoto is still tutoring Kubota and wants to teach him chemistry. Kubota realizes he forgot his book at school and rushes to get it, giving Sakamoto a cell phone in case of emergency since Sakamoto doesn't have one. Later, Shijimi finds out that Sakamoto is in the house and starts looking everywhere for him. Sakamoto uses his clever hiding skills and chooses the most curious and secret spots in the house. Just when the mom is about to give up, Kubota calls Sakamoto from his cell phone, giving away his hiding place. The woman hurries to find him, but Sakamoto slips away. She follows his footprints outside to the balcony, where Sakamoto tricks Shijimi into thinking he left, using a makeshift rope. Shijimi gives up and watches a movie where the actor resembles Sakamoto. Sakamoto, sensing Shigemi's emotions, comes up with a plan and waits for the movie to end, then reveals himself, prompting another chase. However, Sakamoto had recorded himself earlier. He throws the CD into the player and jumps behind the TV, making her believe he's part of a TV show and can't be touched. Successfully fooling her, he says goodbye and asks her to take care of her son. At that moment, a worried Kubota comes in, sees his mother in tears, and comforts her. Since that day, Sakamoto only helped Kubota in the library. Meanwhile, she continues to long for Sakamoto in her life, living a bittersweet love story. A brand new day begins, and the gym teacher Kakuta is standing by the school gate. He's telling all the kids to hurry inside as the bell is about to ring. Sneakily, when the bell rings, he starts closing the gate super fast. He's trying to trap Sakamoto to make him late to school, as Sakamoto always comes in at the last second. Sakamoto shows up with a bamboo pole, and Kakuta gets worried that he might jump over the gate with the pole. Kakuta tries to stop him, but Sakamoto tricks the teacher by abandoning the pole and slips through the slightly open gate without being late. Like a true Chad, Sakamoto even says he decorated the entrance with bamboo because it looked too boring. Kakuta is angry and stressed by Sakamoto's last-minute appearances and decides to keep an eye on him for rule violations. He spots Sakamoto with some mischievous kids and anticipates trouble, but they're just playing with bubbles. Kakuta then catches Sakamoto seemingly goofing off with brooms, but a classmate reveals he's creatively cleaning ceiling dust. Kakuta then randomly decides to scold Sakamoto during his next class. Kakuta starts teaching about personal education, but he's super nervous because everyone is behaving well. Sakamoto, though, is cooking up some grub during this class, making it seem like it's just for fun. Kakuta is waiting for the right time for Sakamoto to taste the food so he can finally give him a talking to. When Sakamoto takes a bite of rice, Kakuta jumps in to scold him and sends him out to the hallway to think about it. But Sakamoto grabs a bit of rice before he leaves. Even though Kakuta is feeling good about it, he wants to make sure Sakamoto is thinking about his behavior. When he checks outside, he sees Sakamoto feeding a sick sparrow with the rice. Turns out, Sakamoto made himself look like a troublemaker just so he could help the bird. Kakuta goes back to the class, all teary-eyed because Sakamoto let himself get in trouble just to feed a poor little bird. The next day, Kakuta is at the gate again, and Sakamoto shows up at the very last second before the door shuts as usual. Kakuta decides to wait, but Sakamoto does this crazy slide thing under him instead of just walking in. This ticks off Kakuta, and he shouts at Sakamoto to stop sliding and get to class. Next up is art class, and the teacher wants the students to pair up and draw each other's faces. All the girls really want to be Sakamoto's partner, but Aina gets there first and asks him. He says yes, and all the girls gather around to draw Sakamoto anyways. Aina is sitting right in front of him, feeling super happy because she thinks Sakamoto sees her as beautiful and wonders how he will draw her. Sakamoto tells her he's done, but when she sees the drawing, she's kinda sad. She thinks he sees her as a wild orangutan. Poor Aina, but guess what? She looked at the drawing the wrong way. Her friends show her that Sakamoto drew her as an angel. Now, Aina is super happy, hugging the drawing tight. All the girls want Sakamoto to draw them too, and he's totally cool with it. In the next part, a fire alarm goes off, and there's a report of a fire in the chemistry class. Sakamoto, with his trusty whistle, guides his classmates to get out of the building. In the schoolyard, they count heads and realize that Sashi is missing, probably stuck in the bathroom. Sakamoto rushes to rescue him, getting himself all wet and tying a handkerchief on his face before heading to the bathroom. When Atsushi finally comes out, he sees Sakamoto crawling on the ground and gets confused. Sakamoto tells him to get down too and not worry. Then, Sakamoto goes on to save Atsushi by lowering him with a rope from the window. Everybody's worried about Sakamoto still inside. But surprise, he's about to jump out the window, using his secret move, Fire Scene Zero Gravity, which is just a parachute thing he made up. Everyone is relieved that Sakamoto is safe, and even Kakuta, with teary eyes, scolds him for making everyone worry. Now, there's a change of scene to the schoolyard during summer vacation. Mario, Atsushi, and Kenken set a trap on the ground. But here comes Sakamoto, with some weird stuff in his hands, and still wearing his school uniform. The boys are shocked, thinking he won't fall for the trap. But wait, Sakamoto falls into it. When they check, though, he's not in the hole. Later they ask Kabuta if he's seen Sakamoto after 3 days of searching, but he says no. Atsushi gets all detective-like and scolds Kabuta to care about finding Sakamoto. Kabuta just thinks Sakamoto is playing around out of boredom. Atsushi takes this as a challenge and decides to find Sakamoto. They try following his footsteps, but Kenkin says it'll take too long. So, Kenkin suggests asking people if they've seen a boy in a school uniform because Sakamoto is the only one still wearing it during summer break. The first person they ask is a man who says he saw Sakamoto about 4 days ago, sliding up the stairs of the pedestrian bridge like it was an escalator. Then, in a supermarket, a lady tells them she saw him 5 days ago in the food section, trying out all the free samples as if it was a big buffet party. Another person mentions seeing him throwing rocks to make a circle in the lake, and a girl saw him adjusting the balance of the seesaw. 2 more ladies say they've seen him around, but the boys still can't find him. As evening falls, they feel sad, smoking cigarettes, thinking Sakamoto might not be in the city anymore. But then, a kid playing in the park falls into their trap and tells his mom about a hole inside. The boys check it out and find a bigger hole they didn't dig, with Sakamoto's button beside it. They wonder where it leads, and Atsushi accidentally drops the button into the deep hole, and after not hearing it hit the bottom, Atsushi decides the hole goes to Brazil, where Sakamoto is on vacation. He jumps in to find him, even though his friends try to stop him. Meanwhile, Sakamoto is at the dry cleaner picking up his uniform. Turns out, he wasn't wearing the uniform the whole time but a white collar shirt. He's been going around doing 1 or 2 things. He puts on his clean uniform